At this time, we would like to welcome back to the stage our festival producer, Erwin Ustindi, here to go over some of the highlights of the festival coming up in 2 weeks.
All right, and I just afterward for the video that we just watched, the letter R, VIMAF, Vancouver Indigenous Media Arts Festival, is one of the partners also with the All Nations Festival, so there's a lot of congruency, and we have a major project that we, if you're interested in this kind of work, both this festival is happening in 2 weeks, but we also are doing a reconciliation project throughout the next year. We hope to have Ronnie Dean Harris, who you met in the video tonight, presentations, have him in residency at the Coquitlam Archives as a Coquitlam person, going back into the archives and producing new media arts out of that, and then bringing it into the school system, through the school district. So there's lots of possibilities of how this All Nations work is process driven. It's not about, we're not producing a festival, we're delivering a process. And that's much like tonight. You're here as part of a TV audience, and this is going to be broadcast on Shaw TV. Many more thousands of people will be watching this on TV. So tonight is about us coming together, sharing stories, and testing the waters, exploring some of these ideas. And that will be a lot about what happens in 2 weeks. So just break down some of the pieces of the festival, and this is a PowerPoint, so it'll magically go to the next slide at some point. There's a lot of partners in the project, and there you see some of the media partners, the funding partners. Tsleil-Waututh Nation has been a core partner with Coquitlam First Nation. The Spirit of Coquitlam has funded a lot of our production costs, and we have institutional partners like the school board, the Aboriginal Education Department, Douglas College, as well as some media and creative partners. So many hands make light work, and I don't know if anyone said that this was light work, but I guess I just did. It's a lot of work. We've been at it for eight months, and we'll be continuing for the next 2 years. So while we're delivering an event from the 23rd to 25th of July, really this is about next year's 125th anniversary for Coquitlam. And as you saw in my earlier words, how can we celebrate 125 years when we actually have work to do? And so the work is starting. You're part of that tonight. You're, people who watch us on TV are part of it. The people who come to the Coast Salish colloquium, and we can advance the images. People who come to the colloquium, Coast Salish conference, the festival, are all part of this celebration of music, of food, celebrating our shared heritage and visions for the future. So we're not about creating an art event where there's an audience and there's an artist presenting with bums and seats. We're really about creating capacity in the community and connecting the agencies together so that as festival producers, we're creating new mechanisms, a new paradigm shift, so that these organizations have relationships to each other and with each other, so that Coquitlam First Nation and the city of Coquitlam has a relationship. The Tsleil-Waututh Nation and the school board, the school board serves Anmore, Belcarra, Port Coquitlam, and Port Moody. Well, that's traditional territory of the Tsleil-Waututh as well. The winter villages of the Tsleil-Waututh were at Belcarra, Port Moody, right? So that's a tremendous amount of erasure that's taken place through this colonial process of the last 100 years. And a festival like this can create new relationships so that when the festival is not here, those relationships exist, and that's the paradigm shift, right? So that Douglas College has relationships with Coquitlam, and Coquitlam has relationships with the media artists, and the media artists have relationships with family members. So that's all going to be generated from this project. Tonight you're part of a pre-event. We're having another pre-event next week, so I welcome you next week. It'll be a bit more dialogue. Tonight is a little bit of bumps and seats, but next week at the library downtown at the City Centre branch, just 3 blocks down, we're having a Coquitlam Stories dialogue. So a little bit more, about an hour of time, we'll just be talking in the circle about what people's thoughts are. What did people hear? What would the people like to see? Who can they invite? Do you have ideas for volunteers? Basically get some traction for that event. And again, it's building towards the week after. We're very honored to have Lee Maracle, as I mentioned earlier, the first Indigenous woman published in Canada, as a keynote speaker. She's a prof at the University of Toronto, published many books, foremost expert in Coast Salish culture, both roots in Stalo and Tsleil-Waututh, granddaughter of Chief Dan George. Gwen Point, the Chancellor at the University of Fraser Valley, will give opening remarks to Lee's talk. And George Leach, coming out as a Coquitlam member, we heard from some of the speakers about how people, whether it's through residential school, through adoptees, adoptation, there's been a lot of shifts in people's lives in the last few generations. And George will be, he's most often known as a Lillooet artist, but he's also a Coquitlam artist. So it's really exciting to have the Coquitlam First Nation host both Ronnie Dean Harris and George Leach in one festival. And we're really thrilled to be able to work with the Coquitlam Nation to bring that to the public and share that talent. And Stephen Point, the first Aboriginal Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, picking up a guitar, and he will open for George Leach. So that's just by itself going to be quite awesome. So Stephen Point here at the Evergreen Cultural Center on the 23rd of July, and tickets are $15 early bird right now on our website. The public won't see necessarily all the stuff that we're talking about. The public will see food trucks and Doug and the Slugs, and they'll see a free festival, and that's an entry point for a lot of the general public. They'll come to this event because of the kind of festival energy that we have. And we have a great festival with the Funk Hunters, one of the hottest festival DJ crews in North America right now. They're going to be headlining on Friday night, Doug and the Slugs and others on the Saturday. We have an ideas stage. Some of these ideas that we've been talking about tonight, environmental stewardship, cross-cultural dialogue, reconciliation, racism, sharing, community planning, transforming a community for the better, those will all be on the ideas stage. And lots of food. We're going to have a really huge food tent, 5,000 square foot food tent. That's like 500 feet. What is that? That's like 50 by 120 feet or something. It's going to be a large tent. And lots of yummy food, from barbecued salmon to elk sausages and bison burgers and Indian tacos and organic juice snow cones, which no one has ever had yet. We'll be the first. We'll be the first. So your hot summer day snow cones, instead of colorful dye, it'll be yummy fruit flavors. Lots of artisans connecting the Evergreen Cultural Center all the way down to the festival site, which is next to the lake. So Artisan Alley, info groups, lots of very, very cool solar displays. We've got Tesla cars, the Tesla car owners from Coquitlam are coming out. So they're really proud of showing off their electric cars to their neighbors. Green Fair groups, Pipe Up Network and others have come together to build this really exciting area. I just noticed it's ironic that the area of the park there on the grass is, I guess there's community cleanup signs all over Coquitlam. Well, ironically, that area of the park is sponsored by Trans Mountain Pipeline, which is really kind of bizarre and funny. Funny in a very dark, ironic way. So that's actually where the Green Fair is going to be, in this grass area that's sponsored by the Trans Mountain Kinder Morgan Pipeline. So I don't know what that means. Maybe they gave Coquitlam $1,000 to have their name on a sign. There's a beautiful work that's going to be happening right here on Friday morning. A lot of elected leaders will be here in the room talking about shared environmental stewardship. So it's interesting, you've got certain candidates that have positions, but often jurisdictions don't talk to each other. So having a dialogue where an MP and a First Nations chief and a city councillor and an MLA can be in the same room talking here on the stage in roundtable format, talking about shared environmental issues in a kind of post-Silcoteen, current contemporary legal climate that has Indigenous economic sovereignty really driving this dialogue. So we saw Angelise talk about climate justice, but there's another major elephant in the room, that's economic sovereignty for First Nations. So when economic sovereignty and environmental work come together, then actually you potentially have real energy towards a green economy, towards Indigenous full employment and other opportunities for First Nations people. So also upstairs in the gallery, there'll be an exhibit by Seth, who's a world-renowned graphic novelist, very famous if you're into graphic novels and cartoons. He has a show opening, and we're thrilled to have the Evergreen partner with us on that. Up the fields, up the road at the park, we've got our Aboriginal Sport and Recreation Council is partnering with us on with the Vancouver Stealth lacrosse team on an exhibition game. So north of the Fraser versus south of the Fraser. Again, just another opportunity for us settlers to learn about Coast Salish culture, and for Coast Salish Indigenous folks to be out in the civic realm, out in the public, celebrating their culture at a festival in Coquitlam, something that hasn't happened before. So there is a rich lacrosse traditions, but mixing that up with these, the food trucks and the music all in one place. That's quite unique, and that's what really makes this a tremendous Coast Salish celebration. Mixing it up again, world famous DJ Headspin from Toronto. He won the Global Red Bull 3-Style Championship that made him the world's #1 turntablist in 2011. Filipino, so he's coming here. And he'll kick out some jams, and there'll be skateboarders, there'll be 3-on-3 basketball, there'll be ball hockey, all that up in the active sports area just across the lake. And for young people, 15 to 29 years old, that want to learn about why we do this, how we do it, risk mitigation, social media, festival budgets, marketing, event production, there's a 3-day boot camp that is for free, and that leads up to the festival. So if you know a young person that would want to learn, have a career in the arts, learn about this kind of stuff that we're doing, that's a great training opportunity. And that's how you stay in touch with us. We encourage you to pick up some materials before you go. There's also a volunteer sign-up sheet on the table outside. And again, check out the website. There's lots of information there. Talk to your coworkers, your neighbors, your family about coming to the festival, but also participating, because we don't, again, want this to be an artist thing. We want this to be participatory. So if you're an artist, you have a community group, a church group, labor union, if you have a way of contributing, we'd love to hear about it. So do stay in touch. And now we're going to hear some great music. So I'll pass it back to Malcolm.